Clint Eastwood has spent decades cultivating an image built on silence, restraint, and absolute control. To the public, he was the man with no unnecessary words, no wasted movements, and no visible emotion. But behind that controlled exterior lived a deep, relentless passion that defined his entire life. The need to work on his own terms, without interference, without permission, and without apology. Eastwood's true passion was never fame. Fame came as a side effect. What he chased was autonomy. Early in his career, he watched studios micromanage actors, rewrite scripts mid-shoot, and drown creativity in committee decisions. He learned quickly that survival in Hollywood did not come from talent alone, but from leverage. Every role he took was a calculated step toward independence. Every success bought him more freedom. When he transitioned into directing, that passion intensified. Eastwood did not direct like his peers. He rejected endless takes, emotional theatrics on set, and inflated productions. His approach was disciplined, almost brutal in its simplicity. 1 or 2 takes, minimal rehearsal. Trust the actors or don't cast them at all. For him, repetition killed truth. He believed the first instinct carried the rawest emotion, and anything repeated too often became performance instead of reality. This philosophy wasn't laziness. It was obsession. Eastwood studied human behavior closely. He understood that people reveal more when they are not overthinking. His passion was capturing that unfiltered moment, before self-awareness contaminated it. That is why his films feel quiet but heavy, restrained but loaded with tension. He wasn't chasing spectacle. He was hunting authenticity. Another layer of his passion was time itself. Eastwood developed an almost confrontational relationship with aging. While others feared it, he leaned into it. As he grew older, his films became more introspective, more uncomfortable, and more honest. He told stories about regret, moral compromise, and the weight of past decisions. Not to preach, but to confront. He refused to soften reality to protect the audience or himself. What made this passion dangerous was that he never adjusted it for modern expectations. He did not chase trends. He did not reshape himself to remain relevant. He trusted that honesty outlives fashion. In an industry addicted to reinvention, Eastwood remained stubbornly consistent. That consistency became his power. His passion also showed in how he treated power. Once he had it, he did not abuse it loudly. He simply ignored anyone who tried to control him. Studios learned that interference would not be negotiated. Either they trusted him fully, or he walked. That stance cost him opportunities, but it preserved his identity. By the end of his early directing years, it was clear that Clint Eastwood was not driven by applause. He was driven by silence. Silence on set, silence in storytelling, silence after the credits rolled, leaving the audience alone with their thoughts. That was his passion, creating work that didn't explain itself, didn't beg for approval, and didn't need validation to exist. Clint Eastwood's passion extended far beyond film structure and into rhythm itself. Music was not a hobby for him. It was a parallel language. Long before audiences noticed, Eastwood was deeply immersed in jazz, a genre defined by discipline disguised as freedom. Jazz demands structure, but within that structure, absolute trust in instinct. That balance mirrored his entire philosophy as a filmmaker. Eastwood composed music quietly, often without announcing it publicly. He wrote melodies not to impress, but to support mood. His scores rarely demanded attention. They lingered. They breathed. This was intentional. He believed music should never manipulate emotion, only guide it. The moment a viewer feels pushed, the truth is lost. His passion was subtle influence, not domination. This mindset translated directly to how he led people. On set, Eastwood did not motivate through speeches or intensity. He motivated through calm. Actors described his presence as disarming. No pressure, no noise, no drama. But beneath that calm was an unspoken expectation of excellence. His passion for efficiency meant there was no space for ego. If you weren't prepared, you were exposed instantly. Eastwood also possessed a controversial passion: defiance toward moral simplification. His films rarely offer clean heroes or villains. Instead, they explore contradiction. He was fascinated by flawed men making irreversible choices, not to excuse them, but to understand them. This made his work uncomfortable for audiences expecting moral clarity. Eastwood did not provide answers. He provided mirrors. As his career progressed, his passion sharpened rather than softened. Many directors mellow with age. Eastwood did the opposite. He stripped away excess. Dialogue became leaner. Scenes became longer and quieter. He trusted the audience less to be entertained and more to be engaged. That trust was risky, but he accepted the risk without hesitation. There was also a personal cost to this obsession. Eastwood's dedication to work often overshadowed personal relationships. He prioritized creation above comfort. Balance was not his goal. Completion was. He believed unfinished work was a form of failure worse than criticism. This relentless drive kept him productive long past the age when most retire. What truly defined his passion, however, was his refusal to explain himself. In interviews, Eastwood avoided analysis. He rejected labels. He refused to intellectualize his own work, not because he couldn't, but because he believed meaning belonged to the viewer, not the creator. Once the film was done, his role ended. This hands-off relationship with interpretation frustrated critics and fascinated fans. It reinforced his mystique. Eastwood was not selling ideology. He was presenting experiences. His passion was letting people sit with discomfort and draw their own conclusions. In the final stage of his career, Clint Eastwood's passion evolved into confrontation with mortality itself. He did not retreat from the subject. He approached it head-on, repeatedly, unapologetically. His later films revolved around aging bodies, fading relevance, and the reckoning that comes when strength no longer saves you. This was not despair, it was honesty. Eastwood rejected the fantasy of graceful decline. He showed aging as it is, limiting, frustrating, and humbling. But within that realism, he found dignity. His characters were not chasing redemption through heroics. They sought peace through acceptance. This reflected his own worldview. He understood that control eventually disappears, and resisting that truth only deepens suffering. His passion for work never faded, but it changed tone. Speed remained important, but urgency replaced ambition. He worked as if time mattered, because it did. Each project felt deliberate. No filler, no distractions, just stories he believed needed to exist. What separates Eastwood from his contemporaries is that he never tried to be remembered. He simply worked. Legacy, for him, was a byproduct, not a target. That mindset freed him from fear. Fear of failure, fear of aging, fear of irrelevance. His passion was rooted in acceptance, not resistance. Even criticism failed to alter his course. Political backlash, cultural shifts, and changing tastes passed around him rather than through him. He did not fight them publicly. He ignored them privately. His silence was not avoidance. It was confidence. In his final years behind the camera, Eastwood embodied the very themes he explored. A man stripped of excess, focused only on what mattered. His passion had come full circle. From a young actor fighting for autonomy to an old filmmaker embracing impermanence, Clint Eastwood's greatest passion was not cinema, music, or control. It was truth. Truth without decoration. Truth without explanation. And truth, delivered quietly, lasts longer than noise.